So I am finally getting around to doing a video about different apps and how to find a quality app. I'm not going to review every single app out there on the market. I'm going to review techniques that they use. There's a really just like click type technique. It's not effective at all. There's a modeling and repetition technique. There's a knowledge-based rewards technique and fact review reinforcement type app. So these are different types of apps, different approaches I've seen educational apps take, and some of them are effective for certain things and some of them are not effective at all. I'm super pregnant. Look at that. I've been carrying this low for like a month. At this point, I'm calling this baby by my other kids' names. My brain's not there. So let me give you an idea of probably the least effective app I can think of. Okay.
Spell the word diverse. D-I-V-E-R-S-E, diverse. Good job.
Okay, at first blush, this app seems pretty good because it's asking them to spell words. But here's the problem with this app, okay? It allows me to click, and when I get the wrong answer, there's no consequence at all. So my 3-year-old can pull this app up and go like this. Yay! 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 I did it! The point being that when all a kid has to do is click, 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 they're not using their knowledge and they're not learning anything. And there are no consequences, so it doesn't matter. With a game like that, I wouldn't even say that it's using repetition as a tool. Now, talk about fact reinforcement tool. This is a math game, and basically in order to win the game and in order to get points, you have to know your math facts. So what that does is it helps to keep the facts fresh in your mind. And so we're looking to create the sum of 8. So we'll move it that way, and you can rotate it and you can drop it. And it keeps going like that, and every time you get to a certain point, it will create a new sum for you to use. And so that's great. That app I like because it's not giving them any answers. There's a consequence if they do the sums wrong. And the great thing is also that they're doing a ton of different sums in their head, because they're not just looking at, okay, 6 plus 2 gives me 8, but ideally they get to this point where they're looking at, okay, 3 plus 8 is 4 plus 1 is, and so they're going through all of the addition in their head. So for younger kids, that's a really, really great app to have. That's the type of app that you would want for reinforcement, right? Math facts or different things like that. And I know that people say it's not super essential to have math facts memorized because they want to focus on theory, and I think that's great and valuable too. But if your kid has downtime or you're sitting in an office waiting for an appointment, I mean, why not have them spend their time on that? There are games like this, Stack the States, where it can be...
Yes! I want that on!
It can be fun for review. To be totally honest, I don't see them learning a ton from a game like this, and that's really the thing. Apps are not necessarily going to teach a lot unless you're looking at like a coding logic app or something like that. Those I think can be quite instructive, but games like this are more like, it helps more if you already have some information, if they're working on it in school.
Mom, I like that. I want on.
Shh. So kids like it, but as far as it being an effective learning tool, more of an effective review tool.
But this that one. The tiniest. Ah.
And so there you see the line. If you get all of your states up to a certain line, then you get a new state. It's not like this is necessarily information that your kid is going to be tested on in school. Magnolia? I'm going to go with that.
We need one more.
It is really entertaining. Alright, so it's a really well-designed app, and I guess a certain kid maybe would learn by doing that, but because it moves so quickly, there's not a lot of reinforcement unless they play it all the time for a long time. So let's look at some repetition. One of the most frustrating points of the teaching process for me is teaching phonetics, days of the week, that stuff that is just like repetition, just tons and tons of repetition. Especially like I've got number 6 coming. I can't even guess at how many times I've gone through the alphabet. And you just kind of want to lose it after a while, unless you've got a brain that's wired for tons of repetition, which I don't. Anyway, so a game like this is really just kind of about repetition. There are a lot of YouTube videos also that are really great for repetition, and it's that kind of reinforcement that I would say these apps are suited to. But I would never in a million years think that this app is going to teach my child how to read. And there are certain things that apps, they just don't do.
The A in cat, the A in rat, makes the short A sound. Now I want to hear you sing it.
Oh boy.
Listen to the short A sound.
Goodbye.
So they have several different types of games, several different things that you can do. You can focus on one letter. So if I'm having a hard time with my daughter on for umbrella, then I might have her come in her free time after we've already done school, and she can practice using an app like this. And I will also have her watch YouTube videos. And me working with her in conjunction with watching a lot of those repetition-based YouTube videos has actually been really effective. It's very kid-friendly, it's very touch-friendly.
Umbrella. Under the umbrella.
Okay, we're not doing that again. And so you can see that it actually does a couple of different examples. You'll have the sound at the beginning of the word, you'll have the sound in the middle of the word, and that is actually really nice. Like I said, repetition, reinforcement.
Sun.
They go slow,
The sun.
they go faster, they can go forward, they can go back.
Bye.
So that's an example of a repetition app that you can use, always in conjunction with what you're already teaching your child or what they're already learning in school. It's about the reinforcement and the repetition. It's not necessarily something that is going to teach. No app is really going to teach as effectively as one-on-one interaction with a child. The only exception would be coding logic apps like Robotizen. There's also Run Marco Run that I've really liked as far as simple apps that teach children coding logic. Even better than that is Scratch Junior. Scratch Junior for coding logic is fantastic. So this app is called Robotizen. I've never actually played it before. The idea is that it teaches you coding logic. That is super, super basic. It gets way more complex from there, but you can see how this actually does teach coding logic because it walks a child through every single one of the steps. Third grade learning apps. How many oceans are there in the world? I don't know. I was gonna go with 5, I was. So these are super boring apps, but it's funny how much kids love to play boring apps as long as they know they're going to get things right. Getting stuff right is an amazing reward for kids. They like getting it right, just like adults. Jeez, we don't really grow out of that, do we? There are also informational apps. I find that the older the kid gets, the more boring the apps are. Here's an interactive table of elements. It's cool that it actually shows you the design of the atom, how the atom looks. So if you have a child in a chemistry class, this is a really great tool for them to use. So that's another way of looking at how you might want to use a tablet or a device as a learning aid. I've seen free graphing calculators and scientific calculators. My back is about broken. Long story short, you want apps that are going to have a consequence for a wrong answer. Apps that are going to reinforce facts that are already being learned. Apps that are going to repeat what has already been taught. That's really the greatest advice I would give you when looking at learning apps. There are so many learning apps out there. I would not even consider reviewing all of them. But if you look for those key things, then chances are you're going to get a good app that you'll be happy with the results. So happy hunting. In the kitchen.
Mom, it's too lonely.
I'm almost done.